Morning everybody, how are you doing? Well, I'm up in Aberdeenshire again this week, and I had planned to get out up into the Cairngorms to do some bird of prey photography, or at least try and find some, but as I always do when I come up here, I try and do a little bit of research and see what's around, and I saw a report that we'd got ospreys on the coast. So in my mind it's a case of, as Matt Hooper says in yours, why do I need to go on the Aurora to see birds of prey when I can see them in Aberdeenshire pretty close to home? So that's the plan this morning. Who knows what's going to happen, but yeah, let's give it a go. Now, strangely enough, I've never photographed ospreys before, and that is strange because I don't really live too far away from Rutland Water, and you might think, well, that'd be the perfect opportunity to go there and photograph ospreys, but for me that's always seemed like potentially a lot of time and effort to get some average images. So what I mean by that is Rutland Water's a massive expanse of water, so you've got to think that those birds can be hunting on any part of Rutland Water, and you know, your chances of getting them close in are fairly minimal, so you've got to put a lot of time and effort in for maybe not much of a reward. And what appeals to me about this site up here is it's in the estuary of the Yathan River, and what the Wildlife Trust or the people at Forvey Nature Reserve actually are saying is that it's the youngsters that are using that area when the tide goes out, and fish are caught in smaller areas behind sandbanks and stuff to practice the hunting skills. So it may be that it's a more condensed area where there's the potential just at this particular point in time to get some shots. So anyway, you know, I'm going to give it a go. I'll show you the way I'm going to set up when I get there. I've got some ideas, and the other sort of advantage I think I might have is that they obviously, because it's an estuary, when the tide goes out I could get loads of wading birds as well, so there's a potential for getting some images of those as well. So yeah, it should be an interesting day, and I hope, you know, the ospreys turn up. As I say, there's no guarantee. I don't really know what I'm getting myself into to a lot of extent, but my sort of spider sense is giving me the indication that there's a possibility of getting something here today. So we'll have a look when I get there, and I'll show you the situation as I see it. Right, so here we are on site. Probably not as glamorous as in the Cairngorms. There's a road runs behind this little lay-by here, and I think this is my way down to this beautiful estuary. And as you can see, the tide's all the way in at the minute, but it looks like a mill pond today. And if I was a young osprey, I would certainly be cutting my teeth in a place like this. So it looks really, really promising. So my only issue now is getting down there and getting set up. I'll show you the setup when I get down there. But yeah, I'm really excited for this one. It's a bit of a wild card and nothing might happen, but I think at least if the ospreys don't turn up, there will be quite a few waders to photograph, and it's just stunning today. So anyway, I'll see you when I get down there. Right, so hopefully you can see here where I've chosen to set up. It's tempting to try and get in. There's a little bit of a setback here, which would give me more cover. But the same reason I'm not using a hide today is I want to have as much vision around me as I can. I know I explained in my last video that I find that if I'm in a hide, it just restricts you so much to one position that it can be really difficult. Well, it's impossible to see what's going on around the sides of you. So here I'm going to set under this little gorse bush. There's a rock just there as well to give me a little bit of cover over the top, and I'm going to set up very similarly to the last video, which I'll put a link up there too. So I don't want to be completely covered. You know, I'm not going to fool anything that's really looking that there's not a person there, but it's going to change my shape. I'm not going to be obvious, and it should hopefully allow for loads of stuff to come fairly close. So anyway, we'll get set up, and yeah, we'll take it from there. And hopefully you can see this is this is pretty much it. So if I take you to have a look, so that is basically, I'm going to be behind there. You'll probably just see the top of my head just there. I have got some camo stuff that I'm actually going to put on, some headgear and some gloves, and that's not really, it is to conceal me a little bit, but one of the issues is there's quite a few midges around, so if I can avoid those, then all the better. So I think that will help. So anyway, let's get under cover and then the wait begins. Right, that was very, very tantalising. In the distance I saw at first what I thought was a gull, but I thought, no, that's a little bit different. So I trained the lens on it, and yes, we did have an osprey. I was doing a little bit of circling around, and at one point I thought it was going to come this way onto this part of the estuary, but it's actually, I think where I am now, the sort of Yathan splits and there's a bit of an island in the middle, or it appears to anyway. I don't know what's happening, but there's a channel on that side and I think it's gone that way. It was way in the distance. I mean, I got a little bit of film of it, which I'm putting up now that you can see, but yeah, the reports were saying that the youngsters were feeding when at low tide, when the fish were more concentrated in smaller areas. They sort of got caught in small areas that were I'm assuming, cut off by sandbanks and things. So just basically more concentrated. So I'm not sure whether that was an adult or not, but yeah, really, really good start. And the tide at the minute is all the way in. I think 2 o'clock this afternoon is about low tide. So hopefully that's going to continue, and hopefully this weather's going to continue all day as well. And yeah, wow, just seen a fish jump in front of me. So there are fish here, and there's 1 or 2 cormorants around as well, which are all good signs because they'll be fishing as well. So it's just really a case of keeping your eye out. As I say, this cover I've got on at the minute is more to keep the midges off. There's 1 or 2 around. It's not as bad as on the west coast, but it just keeps them at bay a little bit. So, but yeah, we've seen an osprey, so really, really chuffed. Hopefully we can get an improvement on that. You will keep hearing the helicopters going over because they'll be servicing the oil rigs off the Aberdeenshire coast in the North Sea there, so you get quite a lot of those in this area. But other than that, yeah, beautiful spot. Yeah, I should mention that while I was doing that bit to camera, while I was setting up, I had a seal come past me and looking rather confused. Obviously they make their way up this estuary, and then I think as the water starts to drain back out, as the tide goes out, they'll make their way back down to the coast. But yeah, he looked a little bit bemused to see me there, and yeah, just floated on by, so I got a little bit of film of that as well. So yeah, but it's absolutely glorious here. I mean, if you didn't have the road behind you, it's not a really particularly busy road. I think when everybody's made their way into work, it'll be quite quiet. But yeah, absolutely stunning. And I should also explain that although the report of the Ospreys came on the 4V Nature Reserve Facebook site, I think, I'm not actually in 4V Nature Reserve. And the reason for that is that A, I saw these locations on my way down and thought I'd check them out, and B, I know from experience that nature reserves are absolutely fantastic, but you will be sanctioned to certain areas. And like here, I'm right on the edge of the water. Now, I know on the reserve you'll be a long way back, yeah, and you'll get views of ospreys if they're there with binoculars, but you're not likely to get a close-up experience. And I think this at least gives me that opportunity here, because I'm right on the edge of the water at the minute. Literally, it is 3 meters away. But we're at high tide at the minute, so sorry, curlew. we're at high tide at the minute, so that's going to obviously recede out, but I think this just gives me a little better chance of getting a close-up. I mean, we might not get anything, I don't know, but I think the problem with it is that report was 5 days ago. So if they are youngsters and maybe, you know, they're on the way to moving back down towards making the trip across to Africa, so it may be that, you know, this is just a temporary stop off and now they've gone, but yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I mean, it looks absolutely idyllic and perfect here. I mean, thinking as an osprey, I would be definitely fishing here. There's no chop on the water, it's completely still and flat. Why wouldn't you? And what interests me as well is potentially for the future, like in future years, if this does pay off and we do have ospreys here, then I would be interested to see if we can get access a little bit further inland, because I did notice when I drove over I came over a bridge with the Yathan going out underneath it a little bit further inland, and it looks absolutely stunning. Such deep still water and surrounded by trees, and I was thinking, yeah, potentially that's another good spot for ospreys. So if there's access to it, that's the problem. But that's something I haven't had time to research this time, and yeah, this is the location, there or thereabouts. Going on, I don't know, just the gut feeling, this just feels like it would be an excellent place for ospreys to fish. So yeah, now it's just a waiting game. It's been all action, to be honest. The tide's turned and I was just watching it sort of the water start to flow out, and I've had at least 3, if not 4 ospreys now. Unfortunately, a lot of the action is round the bend of the river Yathan here, and I keep seeing them drop down. They do occasionally come round, and I have got some shots and some video, but the favourite place seems to be just round the corner. I can keep seeing them, and they circle round, and then eventually and occasionally they'll come round this bend here, come past me, and then you'll see them back round and start again. So they seem to be doing a bit of a circuit. Certainly for next year, I want to check out if I can get further round that corner there. But yeah, it's absolutely amazing just to watch them. And I've seen 1 or 2 come down into the water. There's one just about to drop now, I think. Yep, there we go, splash. But they're a way away, so I'm hoping they're going to come closer as the tide sort of goes further out. That they'll come further this way. But yeah, it's absolutely fantastic. It's all action. I would have been happy with 1, but yeah, there's at least 3 or 4. I know the 4V Nature Reserve reported on 5 youngsters. So anyway, I'm going to leave you because it could kick off again any minute. So one thing I will say is, if you're in a hide, it's restricted, but even on this, it's restricted because obviously I'm tied to the tripod. So what I'm doing a lot of the time is basically taking it off and shooting handheld, because they're going sort of this way and that way, and I can't physically swing round. So yeah, just take the camera off and shoot handheld is the best way to go. So anyway, I'm going because I've got another osprey coming this way, so I'll catch up with you in a bit. Right, I have got a quiet minute at the minute. As quickly as they were here for about, half an hour, and then they've completely disappeared again. So from 3, maybe even 4, we're down to 0. I just show you that the estuary started emptying out. So as you can see, this rock here, the water was to the base of that, and it started to make its way down, so we might get some waders. And one of the other telltale signs is that there's loads of cormorants flying in there, so they'll obviously be doing what you would expect or hope that the Ospreys will be doing. The fish will be all sort of gathered in one space if they've been trapped behind sandbanks and things as the water drains out. So presumably, you know, the fact that the cormorants are coming in there to fish would mean that there's a bumper amount of fish in there, and that would probably be the best time to start hunting for them. But it's really only just started to empty out, so I think 2:30 is low tide, so we'll see if they come back. I mean, I'm here for the duration now. Interest has well and truly been piqued. I've got some shots. Obviously, what you want is the shot of the osprey coming down about 20 metres in front of me onto a fish, either film or images. But yeah, it's a little bit of a tall order. From not photographing these before then, it's probably more than I can hope for, but certainly giving me some ideas for the future as well, for coming years, where I'd like to set up if I can get into that position. But yeah, really good stuff, and it's absolutely stunning weather, obviously, so that helps. It's not so much of a trial sitting here for 5, 6, 7 hours, but anyway, if anything else happens, obviously I'll catch up with you. He's back. Oh, this is fantastic. I can't believe this. He's working this same bit, this same channel, and he's been round about 3 times, and the last time round he stared straight down at me. I'm pretty sure that shot's come out, so that will be in the vlog. I am getting eyeballed well and truly. But yeah, if you look, obviously, as I said earlier, it makes sense that the amount of water in here is reduced drastically, and fish get trapped in these areas, and then these ospreys can obviously, there's less ground for them to cover, if you like, or water for them to cover, so it makes sense to hunt then. But they were hunting this morning. He's gone over there. I'm really just using the tripod to rest the camera on at the minute, because he'll probably be back again in a minute. So yeah, what I was saying is, it does make sense, and I've had quite a couple of close encounters where it's been hovering just in front of me, and I've got some really nice images far better than anything I expected to get, so I'm so chuffed, really. I know I always say this to you, and you probably get fed up with me saying things like this, but it is really easy to get Osprey images. You can go to a place, where they're set up. There's a small body of water. I know there's one near me, a trout farm, where you can go into a hide, and they almost guarantee, obviously at the right time of year, that you're going to get Ospreys. I think it's the ones from Rutland Water that hunt there, or something like that. But for me, that's like a ready meal. So today's been really hard work. I've been here since early hours, and it's now 2 o'clock, and I'm absolutely shattered. I've been sat in this chair, which is pretty comfy, this old wildlife watching supplies chair. It's pretty comfy, but for about 2 to 3 hours, and then you start to get basically the arse ache. So it's trying to reposition yourself, lifting yourself up on your hands just to try and ease the pressure a bit, and then that would be the same for any seat, really. But it's hard work. But I think the satisfaction level is so much higher than when you get it like a ready meal. It's all done for you. That's where you need to sit. That's where you need to point your camera. I've had a little bit of information here, and I'm not even where they've said I'm actually not in the reserve. I'm further out of the reserve because this just looked nice to me. And yeah, it's paid off. So one thing I would say to all wildlife photographers, if you don't push yourself a little bit, so give yourself a project. It doesn't have to be a difficult project, but just something that you do from start to finish, and you'll then realise how more fulfilling that is than just going to a hide or whatever. So I hope you've enjoyed this one. Certainly I've enjoyed it. It's been absolutely bloody fantastic to see. I'm pretty sure there were 4 at one point in the distance, and I thought, to be honest, if that's, and I've got waders coming up now, they're that used to me being here that they're just flying up and walking along the shore, so there'll be some wader images in this vlog as well. But yeah, it's when I saw the 4 this morning that were at a distance, I thought, well, good enough. I've seen them, I've got some distant photographs, but to actually improve on that and get them really close, yeah, it's been absolutely fantastic. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed the bits of video I've put in here, and I hope you enjoy the images at the end, and I'll see you soon for another one. Bye.